New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And hello again, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you over here.
And Reverend Bill over here.
Yes. I love to surprise my guests sometimes, folks. You know that. Welcome to New Thought today. Rev Z is off and traveling today, though I've invited my dear friend, Reverend Bill Marchiony, to come on in and join us as a special co-host today. Rev Bill and I met last year at the Affiliated New Thought Network's annual conference, and you had tried to connect with me before that, but I think I just blew you off, didn't I?
I probably tried a couple of times, and once or twice it was a failure on my end, and then you blew me off. So we've both had our share of lack of success.
But then we finally got connected again last October, and it's been great getting to know you and the amazing ministry that you have going. And we're going to talk about that today, folks. I'm going to share with you some of the many some of the many facets of this man's wonderful ministry. And there's some that we just won't have time to talk about because you are one busy dude. So why don't you tell everybody just a little bit, give them a little bit of your history and background, where you are in the world, and introduce yourself.
Okay. The ministry is New Thought Philadelphia, and it's an independent work, so we're part of the Affiliated New Thought Network. I did my training with the International Centers for Spiritual Living, and before that was involved in Religious Science International, and did my practitioner training and stuff like that at an independent New Thought community with a minister who came from the United Church of Religious Science side of it. So very much the cross-pollinating all of the new thoughty kinds of things. New Thought Philadelphia was founded in 2011, and very much committed to being a New Thought presence in the city of Philadelphia. My partner at the time lived in South Jersey, and I was in the western suburbs of Philadelphia, and Philly was the place for us to be. And so we have grown and morphed and changed over the years. Met in a black box theater for a few years in Center City, and then moved on to space on the University of Pennsylvania campus, and the Christian Association, they have a house there, and met there right up until March of 2020, when it became completely unfashionable to meet in person. And we've been virtual on Zoom ever since. We've been back and done hybrid a few times. We're going to be doing that again, and it'll be one of those things where every other Sunday, pretty much 2 Sundays a month, we're going to be in person, and also streaming onto Zoom, because the community has gotten much bigger than the footprint in Philadelphia. We have people who had left the community because they moved out of town, and they were able to connect in again, and that's from places as diverse as Phoenix and New Orleans and Lisbon, Portugal. And so it's kind of fun to have the people who had been around, who we lost because they weren't here anymore, got to come back. And then there are new people, folks who we have met along the way. We had started in, I guess, late 2019, early 2020, before the pandemic, with a meetup group called Philly Spiritual Adventures. And it's basically an outreach of New Thought Philadelphia, but it's geared towards people who aren't necessarily looking for New Thought, religious science, unity. They don't have a name for it, but they know that they're spiritual but not religious and want to find what's going on. So we've got over 900 people in the meetup at this point. Also, since March of 2020, when it was obvious that we were going to be staying home for a while, my wife came up with a great idea. She said, do a meditation call. can do it online. I think we started on free conference call and then moved to Zoom after the first few weeks. And I've been doing those twice a day, Monday through Friday, at 8 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening Eastern time, 15-minute meditation. The group gets together, we chit-chat, connect with others, see what's going on, and then do a silent meditation, less than 15 minutes, a couple of times on the weekends. And the group is amazing. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I have no idea who's going to be there. But we got a dozen people or 24 people, and they're from all over the world. And that's what the Ministry of New Thought Philly is now. And the rest of it is your usual religious science or Center for Spiritual Living type of activity with minister, spiritual director, and some practitioners, and some classes, and some volunteer activities, and passion for doing refreshments for each other when we can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about hugging and refreshments, right?
Yes, exactly. Hey, if there isn't a good hot beverage and some sweets on the table, but anyway. So, folks, you know what this show is about. If you've been with us before, it's all about how New Thought is serving the evolution of humanity and how New Thought is moving forward in the world. When you look at the New Thought Philly website here, we're going to scroll down here. There's classes and all kinds of different stuff and things going on. Of course, it wouldn't be the same if you didn't catch a video of a talk here and there. So and I love, you've got a dear friend of ours, Reverend Michelle Wadley, there doing a class for you soon, it looks like.
Yeah, she's actually doing the talk this Sunday, and she's starting a class with us, forgiveness class, the beginning of May, which will also be virtual. So. And her name will come up again because she's also one of the presenters on that same forgiveness topic at the Anton Virtual Retreat this Friday. But I don't want to get ahead of us.
Yeah, don't jump ahead. Yeah, we got a lot to cover before we get there. And so, folks, I've dropped the link in the show notes. Please, by all means, take a look at the New Thought Philly website and check that out. So, and one of the things I love on here that is prominently featured, and I have had so much fun here. It took again, you and I, we bump into each other, and it takes a moment for things to kind of get into gear and get moving. But once they do, it really is cool. And the next thing I want you to share with everybody is God Calls.
God Calls, yes.
I have fallen in love with this, and I've actually you explain it, and then I'll share what I was just about to share, because it will make more sense once you share. So tell us a little bit about God Calls.
God Call was the opportunity for me to take the New Thought teaching and put it out into the world in a way that really made good use of my skill set and my gifts and talents. So a God Call is basically a recorded 30-second message. So if you can imagine a Sunday talk that begins and ends in 30 seconds, it's got a nugget of thought in it. It's usually a spiritual metaphor or some pithy saying heading in a sideways direction. And basically what happens is I record them, and then we queue them up in a voice broadcast system, and they go out at random times to all the people who are subscribed, 4 of them a week between 8:15 a.m. and 6 p.m. local time. And for people who are just going through their lives, and I'm going to put ministers in a slightly separate category, what happens is, as you know, you go to one of our Sunday celebrations, and the talk, for some reason, every time you go, is aimed directly at the issue that's happening in your life right then. Same thing happens with the God Calls. Now, people can listen to it live when the phone rings, and it's an actual phone call. It's not some technology thing. The phone rings, and it's the same caller ID comes up every time, so you can label it as God Calls. Some people just label it as God. So when the call comes in, they show their friends, hey, it's God. God calling. And you listen to it, and whatever was going on, first of all, it serves as a disruption. So we get so mired in what we have going on. This is a reminder, let me do something else. And it's only 30 seconds, so you can get back to what you were doing. But it's a little bit of uplift or a different perspective on what was going on, and it is remarkably refreshing. If it's not possible to answer the call and it goes through to voicemail, then when you listen to the voicemail, the same thing happens. And some of our subscribers who have been with us for years will intentionally let it go through to voicemail because they like to listen to them again and again, and they save a library. And then eventually they get to me and say, there's no more room in my voicemail. Can you help me out?
Can you help me out? Yeah, delete a few.
Yeah, well, I do have the whole library. And
Yes.
eventually there's likely to be a book or a something to come out of that. Because they are pithy and intriguing, and that fits in with my skill set. Because in my first career, I'm on career number 9. My first career was in broadcasting. I was a zany air personality, among other things, and so I am particularly good at doing stuff that's really short and sweet and concise and focused. So it's right in my wheelhouse. To be able to do a 30-second New Thought message. And so I went with what I know how to do. I've got Mr. Microphone hanging over my desk here, so it doesn't put any wear and tear on me particularly. And I mentioned that ministers are in a different category because every one of those calls is the seed idea that can turn into an entire talk.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I have ministers who listen, oh, okay. Let me flesh that out for another 17 and a half minutes.
And we're good to go.
And I got my Sunday talk.
Exactly. Brother Diego's with us, yelling, "Yay, Philly!"
Yay, Philly.
Our great Diego. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Feel free to drop in a note, folks, and join along in the conversation. I wanted to share that I love the God calls because I put a Zoom call on hold when I saw a God call come through on my phone. And I've done that where I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to take this. It'll just be a minute. And I go and I listen to the God call, mute my mic, listen to it. Then I'm back in a minute. And they do great. They serve really well. And a few weeks back, my wife and I were in the car when one came through. We were having a discussion and kind of weighing some options of this or that, or what about this and what about that. And there was a little bit of, I don't know if that's going to work kind of in the conversation. And a God call came through. And I'm not sure if I had shared it with my wife or yet not. So I just handed her my phone and said, hit answer and put it on speaker. And she's looking at it like, what? God, really? All right. So she hits answer, puts it on speaker, and there you are. And the 30-second message was all about being open to the miracle. Be open that even when it doesn't appear to be a way, there is a way to be made. There can be a way, and stay open to the miracle of what you really want in your life. And in that 30 seconds, I watched a tear come to her eye, and the message was over. And she hung up and she looked at me. She goes, "Okay, I get it. I get it. I'm with you." And that's how powerful these are, folks. So again, we've dropped the link in the show notes there for you. By all means, feel free to drop in and check out and grab your own subscription to God Calls, because they work wonders.
Yep, 2 weeks for free, and then after that, it's $5.95 a month. It's like 19 of them or 22 of them or something for $6.
Yeah, $6 to support a great ministry and be inspired 4 times a week. Again, sometimes it's like, and there have been a few where it's like, I can't get to that, and then I forget it's in my voicemail, and then I go back and there's like 2 of them in a row in my voicemail. Ooh, a double dipper type of day. They're a lot of fun. So jump over to the website, folks. Take a look at those. Grab them if you like them. Get signed up for it. Hey, take advantage of the first 2 weeks for being free. And if you're wondering what you've stumbled into, this is New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. I am your host, Reverend Robert Brzezinski. My special guest, Reverend Bill Marchiony from New Thought Philadelphia, is with us today. And we're going to take a quick moment to let you know a little bit more about what goes on around the network here, and maybe even how you might get involved with what we're doing. Give us just a moment to take a breather and grab a drink of water. We'll be right back with more of New Thought Today.
Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
With New Thought today, and my special guest, Reverend Bill Marchiony from New Thought Philadelphia. Reverend Bill, welcome back. Glad you're with us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
In our first segment, we talked a bit about the New Thought Philly ministry and God Calls, and I know that's a small portion of what you do. You keep yourself very, very busy. You also are on the board of the affiliated New Thought Network, and I think specifically in the technology and or events department. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Affiliated New Thought Network is it is a wonderful organization that is created as a sort of a peer-to-peer network for ministers and ministries to support each other. Been involved in that. Like I said, when I was in practitioner training, it was one of the centers that was involved. That was part of Anton, so an independent center. And we created New Thought Philadelphia. Again, became an independent ministry. Anton is. It started out being largely religious science, alternative religious science that wasn't United or Religious Science International, which have since merged together to become the Centers for Spiritual Living. The idea was always to broaden out and be bigger for all of New Thought, to incorporate unity, Church of Christianity, and Divine Science, and the United Federation for Better Living, and the other segments of New Thought. And so I'm on the board, and we're really putting some legs on getting that cross connection going. We do an in-person annual retreat every year. We had to skip it for a couple. That's at Unity Village, so we're at Unity's world headquarters to do that. And I have my facility with technology. I actually am serving multiple roles at Anton. I'm on the board. I'm also working as the Chief Technology Officer as a separate contract position as we're going through some technology changes. And I'm co-chairing both of the retreats this year, the virtual retreat, which happens this Friday, and also the in-person fall retreat, which is going to be at Unity Village. Last fall was the first time that we did a hybrid live stream. So we were in person and also in Zoom on the at the retreat, and it worked wonderfully. There were some people who couldn't travel just because they weren't traveling. There's other people who were not willing to go and sit in a room with 60 other people, with or without masks. So we were able to broaden out the scope of the engagement, and it's wonderful. And it's wonderful to be able to connect with people across multiple branches of New Thought, and just explore everything we have in common and be able to support each other, because all of the different groups and all of the different ministries are doing the same thing but doing it slightly differently with a different sort of focus. And instead of reinventing the wheel every time, we can compare notes and find out what worked for you and what didn't work for them, and how to polish something up, and we don't have to start over again every time.
Yeah, exactly. That's as I spoke to earlier in the program, folks, that's where Bill and I finally actually connected, shook hands, looked at each other, and went, hey, we're going to do some stuff together. We're going to have some fun together. It was my first Anton experience, and New Thought Media Network is a member. of the affiliated New Thought Network as well. We love what they're doing there and their mission, and we're going to share a bit more of that with you. Now, the other thing is, yes, this Friday, you'll see here on the website, only 2 days and 18 hours away.
That countdown is becoming terrifying as it gets closer and closer, but also very exciting.
Exactly. Because here's what you're going to experience. And here's the thing, folks. We're going to say it here. This is on a free donation basis. You can attend this entire day with music and speakers and look at some of the names here and some of the people. I'm sure you know some of these folks. And we're going to share with you some more as well. It's a full day from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's 11 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If Bill wasn't busy enough already, we'd make him edit the website to put Mountain Time in there. But
it's in there. It's in there. There's a column for Mountain Time.
Oh yes, down here in the main section. But here's a kind of an overview of what's going to happen. Give us a little more, Bill. How did all this come together to bring together? This is a very robust program you've got here, and some of these people, Michael Gott, so many great names and folks. Tell us a little bit more about how something like this comes together.
This is a function of being a network. And what happened was a year ago, year and a half ago, we had to cancel the 2020 retreat at Unity Village because of COVID. And we rescheduled it for April. And then about the beginning of the year, it became clear that we were not going to be ready to come back for a post-COVID event by April. So we had to push it back again to October. And we decided we were tired of waiting. A year and a half was enough for us, so we were going to get together and do it virtually. And there's no budget. We were doing it on the cheap because we were still planning on getting together in person for the expensive event in the fall. So we decided to do it on the Anton Zoom account, and we just invited our friends in and said, come in, and you can do it from home in your pajamas if you want to, and share some of the insights and the wonderful things that you have. And the way that the thing came together is there are 3 hour-long keynote sessions and then an hour-and-a-half concert to cap the thing off. And that's where the spectacular talent comes in, because the opening song, doing one song at our virtual retreat, is Amy Steinberg. Amy is going to be she's the music director for the retreat this fall. So she says, yes, whatever you want to do, I'm going to come and do that. And Michael Gott, who did the music at the Anton retreat a few years ago, he said, absolutely. So he's going to do the opening keynote and he's going to take part in the concert. So it's going to be using both sides of his skill set. We've had Daniel Nahmod, who was participating last year. This year, he's going to be performing with Nemo. That's wonderful. The afternoon keynote is Celeste Frazier, Sally Robbins, and Jaffan Seeley and Edward Miller are doing power talks during the midday main session. So it's a 15-minute talk. Who's going to see 3 people do a 15-minute TED Talk kind of thing all in an hour? And we get to do that, and it's free, and we take donations. And what we're doing is we're sharing the donations with the people who are performing, basically as our opportunity to give back. So we're supporting each other, and we're supporting New Thought by being able to bring in a lot more people than would normally be able to participate, especially if it involves renting hotel rooms and packing a carry-on bag.
Exactly. And I love this lineup. Folks, keep an eye on this. Now, you just heard the name, Reverend Celeste Frazier. She's going to be our guest here on New Thought Today next Tuesday. So Rev Z will be back from his business trip. Save that date next Tuesday. Rev Celeste will be here. So we'll get a chance to get a little bit of a sneak peek or an idea how it went. But I mean, look at this musical lineup. Michael Gott, Marcy Baruch, Daniel Nahmod, Nemo Patel. When are you ever going to see the 4 of them on the same bill? I don't know if you'd ever see the 4 of them on the same bill again. And we're going to get to enjoy the music of all 4 of them. And I love that you're using both sides of Michael Gott, as it is all too often we either hear him speak or hear him sing, but a chance to get a bit of both sides of his wisdom is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and just as a little additional plug for the Anton in-person retreat, one of the things that we do is a talent show. and we have our distinguished and well-renowned New Thought musicians do a dysfunctional song. So when Michael Gott was there at the talent show, he sang a song from his saloon days called "I'm More Jewish Than You."
I've heard that song.
Yeah, and last fall, got Daniel Nahmod to zoom in and do one of his "Waiting for Betsy" songs. We suck at breaking up, which was it's just delightful fun to be able to connect on multiple levels with these people, because deep spirituality and wise and gentle is wonderful, but we're also smart and funny.
Right. Exactly. It's yes. I speak more to that. Speak more to that if you would, because it feels like that's something that's missing from New Thought is the humor and the playfulness. Sometimes it seems like we get, especially at events like this, we get a little too focused in on what am I getting for me and what am I getting to take home for my communities. It seems like the humor allows us a few more options. And you put on a great program last year where you shared with us a number of the games that you play that were very humorous and really created that sense of lightness of being.
It's about being able to use the metaphor to do something metaphorical that's going to be metaphysical, because we talk a lot about wanting to stay in balance and wanting to be able to accept where we are in the present moment. So, okay, let's make that actually be a physical experience. Let's get a balance beam, which you can, get a 4x4 and put it down on its side with some things to keep it from tipping over, and have somebody walk on it. Okay, so stay in balance. It's not that difficult. All right, now do it blindfolded. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now we're going to bungee your foot to your hand, and you're going to walk the same thing frontwards and backwards blindfolded, and it gets a little bit more difficult. And then we get into the metaphorical lesson, which is where now we're going to have somebody who's actually trying to push you off the balance beam. Okay, and then it becomes very difficult. And then we have two people who are going to keep you upright on it. And that becomes the metaphor, is that you are not alone. You are not walking this path alone. You are not trying to balance yourself by yourself. There is a much greater power that's available. And just little things like that can be a reminder, oh, okay, there's a physical, visceral reminder of something that's true spiritually, and I don't have to sit there on my purple pillow and meditate into it or read how somebody who's been dead for 50 years thought of that a long time ago. We can experience it ourselves and have that brand new perspective on it.
Yeah. Folks, are you catching why I so love this man and what he's doing in the world? No matter where we turn, there's an opportunity for newness. And it sounds like I've got a God call happening in my background there a little bit as well. My apologies for that. So
wasn't me.
Well, we never know about that. Anyway, so I love this. What time does it? Now, again, we put a link in the chat box for everybody, but remind everybody again, what are they going to get if they go over and register for the conference on Friday?
You will register for the conference. It is free. There is no charge. There is no commitment that you donate anything. It is a gift that we're giving to the New Thought community. When you register, it'll automatically get you the Zoom links. They'll be emailed to you ahead of time with the reminders and whatever else. You can join in as much or as little of the program as you want to. There are the 4 main sessions that we mentioned with 3 keynotes plus a concert. There are breakout sessions in between, and those are fun things to do. Some of them are spiritual practices, some of them are physical practices. We had 45 minutes of Tai Chi. There's going to be a DJ dance party. The Philly Groove team is going to be leading that. It's a ton of fun. We're doing a half-hour happy hour. Bring your own favorite sorts of beverages and just hang out in the Zoom. We've got breakout rooms. We want to go and chat with each other. And then a couple of innovative things that are entertaining. One of them is a social scramble, because we're bringing together, at this point there are over 100 people registered, and we'll just set up breakout rooms to randomly assign people to go to a breakout room together for 10 minutes. And there will be a prompt. Here's what you want to find out. Why are what do you and this other person have in common that you're in the breakout room together? Because we remember that Zoom thinks it's random, but there is one infinite creative intelligence that's doing everything. So when we go into those rooms, it's like, oh man, this was so much fun. So we're going to do the social scramble as a way of getting to know people who are in different communities, and maybe they're doing the same sorts of things that we are. It's completely different the aspect of the ministry that they're involved in. Another one is affinity groups, where we're going to get ministers, platform ministers. They're going to go into a group, the breakout room together, and just talk about their stuff. Another one for regular folks. Another one for prayer chaplains and practitioners to cross-pollinate. You know, what's the difference between the religious science and the unity and the divine science ways of doing those things? And just to get to know each other who are in our same lane. And one of my favorite things that I get to lead is a New Thought Pray-a-thon. So I don't know if you've ever done a chamber of prayer. A lot of times we do these in practitioner class or with ministers, where we're going to go into a breakout room. We're going to talk about the events that are going on in the world and the things that have our attention. So everybody gets to give voice to the things that they're wanting to do with, of course, the New Thought spin on, I don't want to just describe the problem. I want to understand the experience I want to have instead. And about, with 5 minutes left, we're all going to pray out loud together in the Zoom. Well, I don't know if you've done a chamber of prayer in a Zoom, but it is 10 times more of a cacophony than it is when you do it just in a room with everybody present. Last year was the first time that I had done that on Zoom. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. We're going to do that again. And an opportunity to share and connect with people, an opportunity to say, I've had enough of this and I'm going to go and it's sunny. I'm going to go outside for an hour and then come back to the retreat because, you're at a one-day retreat, but you're also at home.
Yeah. And you can take your tablet out in the backyard or your phone and hang out in the backyard to begin with, if you like. I'm really excited for the social scramble thing. For me, breakout rooms, maybe for you too, folks, right? Breakout rooms can create a little bit of sense of, I don't know who I'm going to be in here with. I don't know if I'm really going to want to be vulnerable with the people that are in this room. And I find a lot of conferences like to let their breakout rooms go on and on and on and on and on. So a short experience, a chance to get to know people. And my understanding is it's not just one. You get to bounce around to a couple of those, right?
Oh yeah. Basically, the breakout rooms. I think the scramble lasts 8 or 10 minutes, so you get to go in there and if it turns out that either your partner didn't show up or you've been in with them before or it's your wife, you get to come back to the main room and say, "Can I choose somebody else? Somebody's story I don't know yet." And after 8 or 10 minutes, we end it, get a little bit of a back brief from the people, and then we do it again. This is like spirituality meets speed dating.
Spirituality meets speed dating. Now, there we go. I like that too. All right. So cool. I want to shift gears with you a little bit. So again, folks, please go over, sign up. This is going to be a lot of fun. New Thought Media Network. I'm going to give you the little insider information. We're going to broadcast some of the day. So if you forget about this, well, you might just see some of these events pop up on New Thought Media Network throughout the day. But we're not broadcasting the whole thing. And we're going to broadcast specific portions of it. So you'll have to wait until Friday to find out. But really, I think you just want to sign up for the whole thing. Go sign up. It's free. It's easy. They'll send you some email reminders so you don't forget on Friday morning. And then you get to pick and choose from all the different things that are going to happen and not just have to be satisfied with whatever we think you want. So join us. Okay. I want to talk about before we take another break here. We'll take a break in just a few moments. But before we get there, there's another big event that you're involved with, and this is through another organization. Now, remember, folks, in New Thought, we just love our letter salads. So we've got ANTN, we've got AGNT, we've got CSL, but there's also an organization out there, IMTA, and they're having an event later this summer as well, and that's something you're involved with. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Yes, I'm on the conference committee for the IMTA, and they actually started it because this is the 107th World Congress of the International New Thought Alliance. It's One Mind as Many. As you can see there, the subtitle is The Prosperity, Passion, and Potential of New Thought. And again, it's the idea of all of these silos that are seemingly separate, but they're not. And what I found when I got involved in the International New Thought Alliance, that I'm together with people who have a background in divine science and unity and the United Foundation for Better Living. We have much more in common than any of us think. The people at the CSL think, oh, well, they're unity, that they're different. And the answer is they're not nearly as different as any other religion is. We have this belief in oneness that we all believe in common, and slightly different approach to how we do it. And this Congress specifically is about bringing all the groups together. So it's going to open. The first session is a panel discussion amongst members of the Honorary Committee, who are the senior leaders of Centers for Spiritual Living. Edward Vilhoun and Sunday Cote are going to be there, of Divine Science, of Unity. Jim Blake and Shad Groverland are going to be there. Sheila McKeithen, who is the president of UFBL, is going to be there. Darrell Watkins from Divine Science is going to be there. Michael Beckwith is going to be there. Barbara Fields from AGNT is going to be there. And we're going to talk about what we all have in common, which is all of our past. We have Thomas Troward and Ralph Waldo Emerson all in common. And back in the good old days, the founders of all these organizations were friends with each other, and they all talked. And we're going to do that again. And we're going to communicate with each other. And then over the course of the next 3 days, we are going to have different perspectives and presentations from everybody, because we're all doing different work in the world and all inviting different things in, whether it's how we're doing our social activism or racial justice or the deep spiritual work that we're doing on forgiveness and grieving. And all those organizations are going to be sharing the cream of what they do in a single event that's going to be in July in Chicago at Christ Universal Temple, which is our host facility. And that is going to be spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking for, and folks, New Thought Media Network, we're going to be there too. And so if you'd like to come hang out and rub elbows and share some conversations and some meals with all these amazing luminaries that Reverend Bill just mentioned, and more, and others, consider joining us at the One Mind As Many, the 107th annual INTA Congress, 107 years. The International New Thought Alliance is the oldest New Thought organization on the planet at this point. And this is going to be a really, really great experience. I've never been to Christ Universal Temple, and I hear that it's amazing, and I'm really, really looking forward to this experience.
It's going to be quite an event. I know I mentioned Thomas Troward. He was actually a vice president of INTA at one point.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
See, you can be in this movement for a long time, folks, and you still learn something every day. Thank you for that. That's great. I'm really excited about this because, we talk about it a lot here on New Thought Today, actually. We want to erase the false narrative of denominationalism within New Thought. And I will be one of the first to raise my hand and say I was a CSL snob. I mean, yeah, it was okay if you wanted to be from an organization, but it still wasn't as good as if you were CSL. It's just like, come on, let's be real. And I've learned to outgrow that, and good friends like Reverend Bill and others have been helping me to make that, to recognize that in a world where it is all one, how can I pretend that I'm any better than anyone else? And the education, the opportunities, the lived experience of being in New Thought is enough, regardless of where your credentials come from. So I'm really excited to see that we're all going to get together and start talking about how we talk together again. Yeah,
it's going to be wonderful. And we're working on how the organizations can continue this forward into the future. I'm reminded that I was at a church growth workshop in Alexandria, Virginia, a dozen years ago, and Gary Simons from Unity was leading it. And being in DC, there's a lot of divine science in the DC area. So there was divine science, Unity, and religious science in the room at the same time. And Gary looks around the room and he says, we got a lot of diversity, we got a lot of different things here. He says, people don't understand what the difference is between our organizations. He says, I'll tell you what it is. Religious science has really good music. And Unity has Jesus Christ.
Well, you all know me, folks. I'll pick the good music.
There you go.
All right, we're going to take another break here real quick, folks. Let our sponsors and supporters say hello as well. Please stay tuned. This is New Thought Today. We'll be right back with more, and Reverend Bill Marchiony. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And we're back with more of New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network. I'm joined by a dear friend and special guest, Reverend Bill Marchiony. And Bill, before we go today, I got a couple more things we want to touch on. Number one is you're a show host here on the network as well. You've got a program here on the network, and we'd love to tell people a little bit more about that as well. So if you would, share with us a little bit more about your program.
Okay, the program is Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And it is the Practical Prayer Podcast. And it's an unusual show. I've actually been doing the Practical Prayer Podcast since about this time last year. I think we're closing in on 52 episodes. And it's Practical Prayer, which is the title of my book. Because I'm part of an independent ministry, I can choose new language. Because quite frankly, in religious science, if you hear two people who have been around for a while having a conversation, and one of them says, "Oh, I was having an issue, so I went to a practitioner for a spiritual mind treatment, and I manifested a demonstration." Their friend will go, "Oh, that's great," and a newcomer will say, "What the hell was that? What was that?" So I took the opportunity of not having to only use the old language to relanguage it. So a spiritual mind treatment is actually a practical prayer, and the demonstration or the manifestation that we're creating is a result. So when you want to have somebody, a prayer practitioner, do a prayer for you to get a result, it's an easier language. And my goal is not to be able to talk about spiritual mind treatment to people who already get it, to people who already understand the secret handshake and know that they're creating their life according to their beliefs. So what I wanted to, and I've been looking for years for a way of getting a podcast together. I've done a lot of radio in my days, and it needed something with an edge. And through consciousness and a great story, which you can hear if you listen through enough episodes of the podcast, a woman who had spent 35 years as a pastor in a bunch of different traditional Christian denominations had kind of found New Thought on her own and had been studying it herself and decided that she needed a mentor who could teach her in person rather than just being somebody who had written books 20 or 50 years ago. And she's now co-hosting the podcast with me, and she asks really intriguing questions and can do the follow-up deep dive, and we are comparing New Thought and our teaching of oneness with the teachings of duality and separation, and that you got to ask God for a favor and then God will decide whether or not you're deserving And it's been a huge education for me. So we were producing the podcast, and it's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Stitcher and all those places anyway. And then we started using the New Thought Media Network's technology. So we're meeting in the broadcast studio anyway. I said, okay, let's do a live studio audience. So what we do is there's a little bit of a pre-show conversation with the audience where we take comments and chit-chat about what we're going to talk about on the podcast. And then it's like if you go to the taping of the Tonight Show, they do the countdown, the band plays, and then there's the program, and then we do another post-show wrap-up with the audience on New Thought Media Network and the live stream.
It's a ton of fun, folks. I really encourage you. It happens Mondays at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. You're an adult, so you can translate those time zones. 11 o'clock Mountain Time on Mondays, and it follows Laura Topper's The Cosmic Prayer. So we have The Cosmic Prayer, and this is very different in its presentation, but I love sometimes the synergy that happens in the conversations. And your co-host, Carol, is great. She never lets you off the hook.
Nope.
She always has an intriguing question and intriguing perspectives to, it feels like sometimes might even challenge or push you a little bit to really look at, okay, what do I really believe about this? I know she does that for me when I'm listening. So again, we invite you to join us on that any given Monday.
Yep. And yesterday her question was about the devil.
Oh, perfect. Easter week, right?
She wanted to talk about the devil. It's like, okay, we don't have a devil, but if you need a devil, you can have one.
Just don't make them look like anybody you know, right? It's perfect. So again, folks, that is the Practical Prayer. It happens on Mondays. And we jumped over into Bill's studio, so you get a little sneak peek of what that program looks like. That's part of the beauty of the technology we use. We can jump around. So why don't we show folks your promo too while we're at it? Hold on,
sure.
Folks. All righty. Before we go, folks, we do want to say we've got a little bit more time with Reverend Bill here, but before that, we want to make sure that we have a chance to say thank you to all of our sponsors and community givers, those that make this happen. Give us another minute to say thank you, and we'll be back with more of New Thought Today.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Get inspiration in an instant. God calls are the gentle and uplifting moment of truth to help you remember that the bright light of God's love is shining right now as you.
It's your God call. with Reverend Bill.
Start your 2-week free trial today, and you'll get a phone call 4 times a week from Reverend Bill with an uplifting half-minute message filled with insight, wisdom, story, and fun.
Let your light shine.
You can answer the call to listen to it live, or let it go to voicemail so you can hear it later. After the free trial, your subscription is just $5.95 a month. The details are at godcall.org. God calls are disruptive, intentionally.
Whenever you write something, put on a gold star.
They take you away from your routine to remind you about the truth of who you really are. They come at random times between 8:15 a.m. and 6 p.m., so you won't be expecting them. And somehow, the message is exactly what you need to hear at the time.
Magic is loose in the world.
It's a moment of motivation in the middle of your day. Find out more and start your 2-week free trial now at godcall.org.
All right, and we're back with New Thought today. My guest, Reverend Bill Marchiony from New Thought Philadelphia, and so many wonderful projects. We've heard some great things here today. Thank you for being with us. Before I let you go, though, I want to. We always have one of our favorite questions around here. What's the future looking like? If you had a crystal ball and could tell us, what's the importance of New Thought? What is it that New Thought brings to the world that serves the mighty, mighty vision that many of us hold of a world that works for all?
It is the opportunity to take authority and accountability for our own experience of life. And that's really big. And I have come to understand that that is completely terrifying for some people. And that's okay. Understanding that it's terrifying for some people helps me engage with other people where they are and deal with whatever that difficulty or distraction is. Because the law is working whether we say it's working or not. It's a law. So the future of New Thought is letting that light shine and inviting people to understand that they're using that law all the time. And, Mike Dooley says thoughts are things, choose the good ones. So we get to actually do that.
Yeah. You remind me, and I love it, that the law is the law. And now this isn't human law, so this isn't about speed limits or anything, but it is the law, the universal law that must respond to what we put into it. And when I was younger, one of the very, very first times I got pulled over by a police officer while driving, and as a young man, probably 16 or 17 or something, I'm kind of shaking in my boots. And the officer said, "Did you see the sign back there that said the speed limit was 30? And I went, "Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry." And he looked right at me and he said, "Son, ignorance of the law is no excuse." Luckily, he let me go. But that line has always stayed with me. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. It's going to work whether you recognize this stuff or not. It's working, and it has been working. And so it makes a lot more sense to me if we use the law, if we're in alignment with how the law demonstrates and manifests, and we're conscious of how we're in alignment with the law.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a piece of fine china and hold it over a tile floor and deny the existence of the law of gravity and see what happens.
You'll be buying some china.
You're probably going to be sweeping up little shards of crystal or china for quite a while.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Now see, there's a whole talk in that right there, folks, right? There's a whole 20-minute talk just in that little clip.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you, Bill. Hey, folks, if you'd like to share with us, we've got an email specifically for this program, ministertalk@ntmedia. If you know of a guest you'd like us to have on the show, please let us know. If you have a conversation or a topic you'd like us to cover, please let us know. My regular co-host, Reverend Elzia Sekou, will be back with us again next week. And as I said, we'll have Reverend Celeste Frazier with us next week as well. She's going to be talking about some more great events that are happening in the world this summer. It seems like everybody's coming back out into the world this summer, Bill.
That's the plan currently. Although I do live in Philadelphia, and we reinstated the mask mandate yesterday. So.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Someone sued you this morning over it. So There will always be that. Hey, folks, we're going to get out of here for now. Thanks for being with us. On behalf of myself, all of New Thought Media Network, and Riverbill and the New Thought Philadelphia community, thanks for being here. We look forward to seeing you again real soon. Until next time, peace and richest blessings.